Maze Runner: The Death Cure is the third and final instalment in the Maze Runner trilogy of films. Directed once again by Wes Ball, the film stars Dylan O'Brien in the lead role as Thomas as he continues his fight against Wicked, and him and his friends attempt to find and rescue his friend Mino, who was taken captive and taken prisoner at the end of the last film, and as they also try to find a cure for this virus as well. And going into this movie, I wasn't, terribly excited. I wasn't really that bothered about seeing it, to be honest with you. I saw the first two back when they came out, and I actually enjoyed the first movie. I thought it was actually pretty good. The second one, not so much. This movie was kind of like pushed back almost a year, I think, because Dylan O'Brien injured himself, doing one of the stunts on set, and so they had to push the whole film back. So a lot of people have kind of forgotten about this now. They're like, oh yeah, third Maze Runner film, yeah, I completely forgot that was even still a thing. Because I think it was probably meant to come out last year, but then they ended up getting pushed back almost a whole year, I think, and now we finally got it, the third and final installment in the trilogy. But I actually enjoyed this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like a great film, but I enjoyed it a whole lot more than I thought it was going to, and it actually surprised me and turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Although I didn't love the first one, and I didn't think the second one was very good, really. This was probably my favourite of the three. I mean, the first one was pretty solid and was alright, but I think this might have actually been the best direction of the three, which is a weird thing to say because it's the same director that did it all three, but I think the first one was his directorial debut. But you can definitely tell with some of the sequences in this movie that he's improved a whole lot and learnt a whole lot and gained a whole lot of experience from just doing these movies alone. Because whereas the first movie felt a little generic, a little by the numbers, it wasn't anything, that creative or different, it just looked kind of pretty average and by the books. This movie was a whole lot better, I think, directorial wise. I think there were some really great sequences that were put to film, and there's also some really great action sequences in this movie. Now, there's something that we'll touch on later where there's a lot of things that happen in this movie that just defy logic and things that just make no sense, and you're like, hang on a minute, this isn't a video game, this is supposed to be real life, how are people not actually getting hit? But that being said, there were some action sequences in this movie that I really enjoyed and what were done really well, particularly the opening scene. It really opens with a bang, with a really great opening action sequence where Dylan and his friends hijack this train and attempt to kind of break Mino free, and it was actually a really great sequence. I really liked how it was shot, I really liked how it was done. You can tell that Dylan O'Brien did a lot of his own stunts because there's so many shots in the opening sequence where you can tell, yeah, that's actually him. It looks really great, and you can tell that he's very dedicated and very committed as an actor. He wants to do all his own stunts, he wants to make it look as real as possible, and you can also tell as far as directing is concerned that he wants to shoot this sequence to be as thrilling and as dynamic as possible, where you can see everything that's going on. It's not really fast paced and quick cut shaky cam. You can see everything that's happening in this sequence, really well shot, really well executed. Dylan O'Brien there, you can tell he's actually doing a lot of his own stunts. It kind of goes downhill a bit from there because it is such a great opening action sequence, but I really enjoyed the action sequences in this movie. Also, the third act I really enjoyed as well. It ended on this quite surprisingly poignant note, and that was another thing I liked about this film. It actually had a lot more kind of emotional depth and was more emotionally compelling than I thought it was going to be, with a relationship between Thomas and his friends. I think really worked because obviously they're built on their friendship that they had in the first movie especially, and also the second movie. So going into this movie, they've been friends for years now, they've had each other's backs, and especially Thomas is really kind of dedicated and committed to really desperately wanting to save his friends. So you can really feel for him with that aspect of the film, and it does have actually a surprising amount of emotional depth as far as that aspect is concerned, with Thomas being just so dedicated and so committed to wanting to save his friends and not giving up just no matter what. So that was an aspect you could really cling on to, and that really resonated with you as an audience member. And all the interactions between Thomas and his friends I thought was really good in the movie, and that was really kind of at the heart of the movie. Thomas and the relationships that he had with his friends, with Newt or with Mino. So I really like that aspect. And of course, like a lot of these films, the film itself isn't great, but the performances from the actors really help to elevate the film because it's a really great cast. You've got loads of really great actors. Of course, Dylan O'Brien, I'm a real big fan of his. I think he does a really great job in the lead role. It's a shame he hasn't got a really big break as far as a really great big movie is concerned, because he's been in a lot of films, but a lot of the films he's been in have been quite kind of mediocre. But I'm a big fan of his. I think he's very talented. He did a really great job. We've got Thomas Brodie-Sangster, the young British actor who is his friend Newt. Giancarlo Esposito is in there, of course. Actually, Walton Goggins even pops up at one moment. I was like, I didn't know he was in this movie, so it was cool to see Walton Goggins pop up. And yeah, just really great actors all round. So even though the film itself isn't fantastic, it's saved by these really great performances and a really great kind of talented cast. Maybe if it were actors that weren't that good, the film wouldn't have been that great or wouldn't have worked as well as it did, but because we've got so many great talented actors in here delivering really great performances, it really helps to kind of make the film a whole lot better, make it even more watchable and more entertaining than it probably would be if the acting wasn't that great. But yeah, the actors across the board were all really great and all delivered really great performances. But going on to negatives here, even though there was a lot of stuff I liked about this movie and a lot of stuff I found entertaining, there were a lot of things that did bug me, not massive things really, things that I could overlook, but there were so many times in this movie where, you know, it does that thing where, you know, if you've seen any amount of movies, it's not surprising at all. It does that thing where it tries to trick you into thinking, oh no, something's bad going to happen, it's not going to go well, oh no, yay, we've been saved, it's going well. It does that so many times, and it never caught me off guard, and never shocked or surprised me once. You know, I've just seen too many movies. There were so many things that happened in this movie where I just found myself going, there's a particular moment in the tunnel where you think they're trapped, you think they're not going to get out of there, and then something happens and you're like, well, that was convenient. Oh, I didn't see that coming. It's very predictable. You can see where it's going before it even goes there. And like I said, there's so many times in this movie where it tries to be shocking or tries to take you by surprise, but you just see it coming like way before it even happens. And also, like I alluded to earlier, there's some things in this movie that just make no sense. You know, you kind of just have to switch your brain off and just accept, just suspend disbelief. Thomas, he's basically this action hero now, which is like, okay, it makes sense, I guess. But at the same time, there's so many sequences in this movie where Thomas is on his own with just one guy and a handgun going up against like a squadron of soldiers. In the whole film, he gets hit once. And I'm like, what? Like, there's so many times where he's going up against squadrons of soldiers and he never gets hit. It's like, he's just this one guy with a gun. I'm like, what? Okay, I get that he's meant to be this action hero now, but at the same time, it makes no sense how they're able to just run away and dodge these bullets multiple times. Even if the soldiers on the bad guy side are completely useless, or they're somehow kind of like invincible superheroes and able to dodge every single bullet. You kind of have to suspend disbelief for the most part and just accept it. If those kind of things bug you, it will probably be an issue for you, but I just, you know, it's a movie, so I just let it slide. But overall, I actually enjoyed this movie a whole lot more than I thought I was going to. It's not one of my favourite YA franchises. It's not like The Hunger Games, for instance. I think The Hunger Games is my favourite. I absolutely love The Hunger Games films. Although that being said, the final two Hunger Games were a little underwhelming for me, and this kind of did almost give me what I wanted from the final Hunger Games film, as far as, you know, the big battle that we got at the end in the city. But The Hunger Games is definitely the most superior franchise. It's almost like the poor man's Hunger Games, I don't know. But it was still a pretty solid franchise for the most part. I didn't think the second one was all that great, but the first one was alright. And I actually enjoyed this third film as well. Like I said, it wasn't a great film. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't amazing. But that being said, it did what it said on the tin. It did exactly what it needed to do. And it's a film that I'm sure the target audience will really enjoy. I saw this in a screening packed full of like teens and young adults, and they all seem to really enjoy it. It did what it said in the tin, and it did it pretty damn well. So, you know, I did have some problems with this movie, but I did enjoy it, and I did think it was, you know, entertaining for the most part. So overall, I'm going to give Maze Runner The Death Cure 3 stars. And that's another thing, actually. It's called The Death Cure. It's not really about finding the cure. It's more about Thomas and his friends trying to find and rescue Mino. It's more like Maze Runner The Search for Mino. It's kind of what it is. But anyway, that wraps up my review on Maze Runner The Death Cure. Have you seen the film yet? And if so, what do you think about it? Was it your favourite of the three? Did you like the first one the best? Did you like the second one the best? What do you think of this franchise, of this 3 Maze Runner films? What's your favourite? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you like this and you haven't already, be sure to hit subscribe to see more. If you missed my last review, be sure to go and click over here to catch up on my last review, or perhaps down here to catch up on all of my recent videos. But with that said, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.